Welcome again to our YouTube channel, Father Danny Perspective. Father Danny Perspective, our God is sufficient for all. Dealing with anger. Dealing with anger. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and invite a friend. Dealing with anger. Many people have a hard time or a difficult time dealing with anger. They have a hard time dealing with anger. Some people have a history of rage. They have a history of rage, but they try to stifle their feelings. They try to stifle their feelings. They don't want those feelings to be expressed. They stifle those feelings of anger. Some, they do what we call to stuff down. They stuff down the feelings of anger. They stuff down the feelings of anger, pretending that the feelings do not exist. They pretend that they do not exist, so they stuff down the feelings of anger, pretending that they do not exist, because in their early lives, as they were growing up, they were never allowed to express their anger properly and appropriately. So they don't know how to deal with it. They were never allowed to express their anger appropriately and properly. So what do? They stuff down the feelings of anger, pretending it does not exist. They pretend it does not exist because they don't know how to deal with it. However, not knowing how to express anger properly has become a serious problem in our society. Many people don't know how to express their anger properly. Therefore, it becomes a serious problem for many people. And as it becomes a problem for many people, they try to avoid dealing with it altogether. They don't know how to deal with anger. They don't know how to express it properly. So what do? They try to avoid dealing with it altogether. They don't want to deal with it. They try sometimes, as people will call it, put it off. To put it off. Putting it off for them is like putting aside. Put it off. Don't deal with it. But as they try to put it off, they still hope that it will go away. Putting it off does not make it go away. It becomes more problematic. Putting it off, it will go away. It will not go away. It will cause more problems. Therefore, evaluating how to deal with anger properly and appropriately is a very important part of each person's life. Evaluating how to deal with anger is a very important part of each person, and more especially Christians. First and foremost, we have to learn to acknowledge our anger, to acknowledge that it exists. And as we acknowledge that it exists, we find techniques of dealing with it. Some have used various techniques to deal with anger. Various techniques. Some have used exercises. Some have used relaxation methods and techniques. Some have used deep breathing techniques to deal with their anger. But sometimes also it needs professional support, professional help. It needs professional help. Sometimes also we have to learn and know the triggers of anger. To know your triggers to anger. What are your triggers? What triggers you to anger? After you know your triggers to anger, then you have to understand the root cause of your anger. Understand the triggers of your anger, and then know the root cause of your anger. Understand what's the root cause of your anger. Triggers to anger can be so many things. They can include situations, they can include people, circumstances, state of mind. There are many triggers to anger. Do you know your triggers to anger? Do you know what triggers you to anger? After you have known your triggers to anger, then you have to be keen on warning signs and cues. You have to be keen on warning signs and cues to anger, such as increased heart rate, the heart beats faster, increased heart rate, if that's your sign or that's your cue. Some have muscle tensions, the muscles, you experience tensions of the muscles, muscle tensions. Or the rising of heat, you become a little hotter, you become a little warm, some may start sweating. What are your signs? What are your cues to anger? That when you feel that way, you feel, I'm almost getting annoyed, I'm getting angry. Some, they start shaking their hands, they put their hands in their pocket. What are your signs to anger? What are the warning signs and the cues to anger? Also, you have to check on any underlying emotions. You have to check underlying emotions that sometimes are masked by anger. Underlying emotions sometimes are masked by anger. Such emotions like sadness, fear, disappointment, frustrations. What are the underlying emotions that can be masked by your anger? What are they? Then you will have to check on your deep feelings. Check on your deep feelings or deeper feelings and try to practice calming techniques. Some have practiced what we call mindfulness and meditation, trying to focus the self to the moment, that you want to gather the thoughts, focus on the moment, focus your thoughts on the moment. Meditation, mindfulness, center yourself to the moment. And also to find healthy outlets of our anger, to find healthy outlets of anger. Such may include, some have physical exercises or physical activities such as walking, running, jogging. What is the healthy outlet for your anger? Do you have any healthy outlet for your anger? The other thing we have to learn to do, you have to learn to communicate assertively. Communicate assertively by using simple statements. I statement. Communicate assertively using the I statement without blaming or attacking others. Using the I statements assertively without blaming or attacking others. Try to communicate calmly without raising your voice, without raising your temper. Try to communicate calmly. Calmly and clearly. Communicate in a controlled manner. Don't allow emotions run you amok. Communicate calmly, clearly, in a controlled manner. Even when you are feeling angry. Even when you are feeling angry, try to communicate calmly, clearly, in a controlled manner, assertively, without attacking or blaming anybody, calmly, clearly, in a controlled manner, even when you feel angry. The other thing you have to do to deal with anger is to have set boundaries. Have set boundaries. Communicate your limits effectively. Know your expectations. Limits and expectations. Know them clearly. Do not exaggerate. Have those set boundaries. Communicate your limits and your expectations. And if you discover your anger has become a little bit more problematic for you, seek what we call professional help. Seek professional help. But in the meantime, you have to constantly remove yourself from triggers to anger. You have to constantly remove yourself from any trigger to anger, because you don't want to get there. Remove yourself from triggers to anger. Remove yourself from those situations that can lead you to anger. Avoid circumstances and occasions that can lead you to anger, that can trigger you to anger. Apostle Paul wrote and said, "Don't sin by letting anger control you." St. Paul wrote and said, "Don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil." St. Paul warns us Christians and says, don't sin by letting anger control you. When you allow anger to control you, your actions, your words, then you are sinning by allowing anger to control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. He was writing to the Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 to 27. One key method of dealing with anger daily is to have daily time limits for handling anger. That you know your limits, daily limits, daily time limits for handling anger. Time to find ways to express the feelings and then let them go. That you know each and every day when you evaluate yourself, you know your limits, that when I'm on this level, I'm done. I will have to find ways of letting it go. I will not allow it to continue building. I will not allow it to continue affecting me. I will not allow it to continue becoming bigger. At this limit, I'm done. I will have to go out and let it go. I will have to find a way of letting my anger go. So we have the limits up to where we cannot take it anymore, but just go and let it go. Just find a way of expressing that anger and letting it go. Know your limits. Dealing with anger promptly is important. Don't allow it to pile and pile and pile and pile. Dealing with anger promptly is very important, because when it's left to fester, when anger is left to fester, it becomes bitterness. So dealing with anger promptly is very important and necessary, because if you let anger fester, it becomes bitterness. It becomes bitterness. So no longer anger. Now it becomes bitterness. Bitterness is anger that has been buried and given time to grow. Bitterness is anger that has been buried or has been hidden and has been given time to grow. So the more you bury your anger, the more time you give it to grow. And when it grows, it becomes bitterness. It becomes bitterness. So a bitter person is a person who has allowed anger to grow, to multiply, to balloon. Bitterness is anger that has been buried and given time to grow. The Bible warns us. The Bible warns us and tells us, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. The Bible warns us and tells us, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving. That means forgiving one another, just as God, through Christ, has forgiven you. St. Paul is writing again to the Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 31 to 32, saying, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. We are being called to get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, we are being asked to be kind to one another, to each other, to be tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God has forgiven us through Christ. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 to 32. My brothers and sisters, never allow yourself to be too hungry. Never allow yourself to be too hungry and angry, lonely, or tired. Don't allow yourself to be hungry and angry, lonely, or too tired. Some of these things can lead to annoyance and anger. So feed yourself well. Avoid being annoyed. Avoid loneliness or extremely tiredness or extreme tiredness. Avoid some of those things. Try to accomplish a lot of things by dealing promptly with anger when it occurs. Deal with anger promptly whenever it occurs, and it will give you time to accomplish many things. When you deal with anger promptly, you allow yourself to accomplish a lot of things. So, my brothers and sisters, today, as we talk about dealing with anger, do you know your triggers to anger? Do you understand the root cause of your anger? Do you know the underlying emotions that sometimes are masked by anger? Do you have techniques on how to deal with your anger, how to express those feelings? Take a moment and reflect. Do you know how to deal with your anger? Do you know how to deal with anger? Just a reflection. Think about it. Have you ever been annoyed? How did you deal with it? Do you have somebody around you who has anger issues? How do you deal with it yourself? How do you help that person to deal with that anger? May God bless you with peace, and let us learn to deal with anger appropriately and properly. May God bless you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. See you later in another video.